When CEO Adrian Cole disguised his elderly mother as a cleaner to secretly evaluate his staff's integrity, he thought he was testing them. But what unfolded changed him. Adrian Cole was a man who believed in numbers, profits, margins, productivity reports. At just 39, he ran Coltech Solutions, a rising star in Silicon Valley, known as much for its innovation as its cold corporate culture. "People are only good when someone's watching," he once said in an interview. And maybe that was why he came up with the test. It started after a board meeting, when Adrian's HR director suggested launching a new, Compassion in Leadership initiative to improve the company's image. The idea made Adrian scoff. "We don't need smiles," he said. "We need results." But privately, Adrian was troubled. Despite the company's success, employee turnover was high. Rumors of arrogance, apathy, and even cruelty in his management ranks made him wonder, who could he really trust? So he devised a plan. The test. Without telling a soul, Adrian called his 74-year-old mother, Evelyn, a retired schoolteacher known for her stubborn warmth and quiet dignity. "I need a favor," he said over the phone. "A favor?" she chuckled. "From your mother?" Shocking. He explained the plan: she would pose as a cleaner for 1 week. No one would know who she was. No name badge, no backstory. Just a uniform, a mop, and a mission: watch how his employees treated the invisible people. She paused for a long moment. "You want to know who has a good heart," she finally said. He didn't respond. She just smiled softly through the phone. "I'll do it." Day 1. On Monday morning, Evelyn walked into the sparkling glass doors of Coltech, pushing a cart filled with supplies. She was largely ignored. People walked past her, eyes glued to phones. Some muttered orders. Others left coffee cups in her path. One executive, Bryce, the VP of sales, nearly bumped into her and muttered, "Watch it, Grandma," without looking up. At 10:32 a.m., she bent down to pick up a crumpled paper near the executive lounge, and her knees buckled slightly. A group of interns walked by, laughing, not noticing. But then, someone did. A woman in her mid-30s wearing a frayed cardigan over her office attire stopped and rushed over. "Are you okay?" she asked, helping Evelyn to her feet. "I'm all right," Evelyn said, brushing off her apron. The woman smiled. "I'm Kara. If you need a break, come sit by my desk. I've got an extra granola bar." Evelyn's eyes lingered on Kara as she walked away. That was the first time someone had looked her in the eye. The week unfolded. Over 5 days, Evelyn watched the soul of the company unfold in quiet corners and break rooms. She saw a janitor eating lunch alone on a supply bucket while managers laughed loudly in a corner room. She saw an executive slam a door in her face when she asked to clean inside. But she also saw kindness. A young coder named Matteo spilled coffee on the floor and dropped to his knees to help clean it up, without knowing she was nearby. A receptionist named Denise noticed Evelyn's limp and brought in a soft pair of sneakers from home. And then there was Kara, who left little notes on Evelyn's cart. "You matter," one said. Another had a quote, "Character is how you treat those who can do nothing for you." The revelation. On Friday afternoon, Adrian called a surprise all-hands meeting. Employees gathered, curious and slightly anxious. "I want to introduce someone special," Adrian said from the front of the room, his voice more subdued than usual. The doors opened. Evelyn walked in, not in a uniform, but in a modest dress and cardigan. Gasps echoed. "This is my mother," Adrian said. "She spent this past week here, as a cleaner." A stunned silence fell. "She came to observe, not your skills, not your KPIs, but your hearts. To see how you treat someone you think has nothing to offer you." He paused, looking out over the crowd, some shifting uncomfortably, others frozen. "Some of you passed with flying colors. Some did not." He turned to Kara. Kara Adams. You saw her. Not just physically, but truly. You showed her kindness without knowing who she was. That matters more to me than anything on a resume. Kara's eyes welled with tears. And Mateo, Denise, thank you. You reminded me of something I forgot, that kindness isn't weakness. It's leadership. Adrian took a breath, emotion catching in his throat. And to those who walked past, who saw a cleaner, not a person, I want you to know, culture starts with how we treat those with no title, no power. And if we don't change that, we fail. The transformation. From that day on, Coltech was different. They introduced kindness metrics into quarterly reviews. Evelyn returned, not as a cleaner, but as a consultant, offering training in empathy and respect. Every new hire had to attend her workshops. Kara was promoted to head of culture and employee experience. The executive who muttered, "Watch it, Grandma. Let go." And Adrian? He changed. He started walking the halls more, learning names, asking people how they were, and listening. He even set up a fund for employees facing hardships, naming it the Evelyn Fund. One afternoon, Evelyn found Adrian on a bench outside the building, looking up at the sky. "You were right, Mom," he said quietly. "About what?" "People do show who they are when no one's watching. But I forgot, so do I." She smiled, reaching over to take his hand. "Then it's a good thing we're always watching each other." In a world obsessed with titles, it took a mother's quiet grace to remind one CEO that the greatest power isn't in authority, it's in humanity. Because sometimes, the smallest acts, offering a hand, a kind word, a pair of sneakers, can change the heart of a company, and the soul of a man. Dove kindness doesn't cost a thing, but it can be worth everything.